Welcome to our podcast.
Hi, I'm Nellie.
I'm Maisie.
I'm Anna.
And I'm Gabriella. Today we're going to tell you about the history of how everyone got the right to vote and how identities affected this right. Now, it didn't just happen automatically. It was something you had to fight for, which is what Maisie is going to tell us about.
Voting rights was something that people had to fight for, something that people had to earn. Voting rights are a thing that gives you the right to be able to vote for the president. In 1776, the Declaration of Independence was signed. The Declaration of Independence was given the right to vote to white men. After white men got the right to vote, women decided that they should get the right to vote, and held a lot of marches, and finally women got the right to vote. Then African Americans got the right to vote, along with the black women who were African American, and finally Native Americans got the right to vote. When voting rights was made, when the Declaration of Independence, white men got the right to vote. But here's the thing, white men only got the right to vote if they had land. A lot of white men did not have land. If you were a white man, you were very lucky back then, because you would have a chance to vote. It did change though. They passed the law that if you were a white man, you could vote. So you don't have to own land. All white men can vote.
Women got the right to vote in 1920, but the only women who could vote were white. Some women were using Native American and African Americans to say that they would get the right to vote too, but guess what? They didn't. Not until 1965. Anyway, if you were a woman and died before 1920, you would never have been able to vote. This made women angry and caused them to protest. They were also not fair to other women who were not white by having them protest with them and then not giving them the right to vote. Very unfair. Now, pretty much anyone, no matter their gender, can vote, thanks to the 19th Amendment. But this amendment gives all people, no matter their gender, the right to vote. Yay!
According to the National Library of Congress, Native Americans were here long before the U.S. government was founded. Yet they faced centuries of struggle before getting U.S. citizenship and voting rights. Only in 1924 were Native Americans born in the U.S. given full U.S. citizenship. However, the right to vote was still up to the individual states. It took over 40 years for all 50 states to grant Native Americans the right to vote. The Native Americans suffered from many of the same problems that kept African Americans from being able to vote. The passage of the 1965 Voting Rights Act strengthened voting protections for Native Americans. Today, all Native Americans can vote, but we should continue to make that their right is not suppressed.
African Americans had a hard time getting the right to vote because of their skin color. Slavery had just ended due to the 14th Amendment, and people were determined to not hurt but to fight peacefully. Instead, they did marches and parades to make others aware of their fight. One well-known march was Bloody Sunday, where we first saw John Lewis in action. Others who had been working on the African American voting rights were Martin Luther King Jr., who gave the speech, "Give us the ballot," and countless others to make people aware of their situation. Finally, in 1965, the Voting Rights Act passed. That meant that all the hard work put into getting this right had finally paid off. The people that were affected in this act had much to say about what they went through. Our nation is better off because of John Robert Lewis. My life is better. Selma is better. This nation and this world are better because of John Lewis, said Alabama Representative Terry Sowell.
So why do you think these all connect?
I think it's because they were all fighting for the same thing, the right to vote.
Everyone did it differently, but they all connected by fighting peacefully to gain this right.
Thanks for watching. We hope you learned a lot.
Thanks for watching the Mystery of Voting Rights History.